welcome. I'm Olas Garjuk, and you're watching Head to Head with UATV. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin have met for the first time. Kim's visit to Russia comes amid an impasse in nuclear negotiations between Pyongyang and Washington. To discuss the importance of the summit between the two leaders, we welcome to our studio today Makar Taran, head of the Ukrainian Association for American Studies. Hello and thank you for joining us, Mr. Taran. So, this was the first visit to Russia for Mr. Kim, and after ruling for 6 years without leaving the country, after his rapprochement with Mr. Trump, the President of the United States, which eventually resulted in a deadlock again, he visited 5 countries: China, Russia, Singapore, Vietnam, and a short hop over the South Korean border. Why these 5?
Trump tries to gain, he said, a big deal. He's quite business-minded person, and his big deal is in to gain stability and to get a process of improvement, denuclearization of the North Korea, dismantlement of North Korean nuke facilities, and that is Trump considers that he was able to get this big deal. And Trump visiting these 5 countries, sure, he stressed by his visit that
Trump or Kim Jong-un? Because we're speaking about Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un. Okay. It's like a game between North Korea and the United States. United States and Trump personally wants to
force
expand his
influence,
his space, and to make it's possible to maneuver further. Kim Jong-un visiting his biggest allies.
These are old Soviet allies, basically.
Yeah. And first of all, Kim Jong-un tries to demonstrate that he's a normal leader. He's not a leader of reclusive country, and first of all, it's like a general image. Of course, the top agenda of his visit is nuke facilities of North Korea.
Yes.
And after Hanoi meeting with Trump failed, Kim Jong-un started his campaign to absorb foreign policy support and to receive
some guarantees after this dismantlement of the nuclear facilities, or to receive some allies, to counteract with Trump?
The main purpose of Kim Jong-un is to fend off U.S. sanctions, but he failed to. He didn't want to conclude a big deal, as Trump said, and I think that for Kim Jong-un, the process of negotiations, bargaining, and so on, is much more important than the results. During this process, Kim Jong-un makes his country and his person widely recognized. He also gets some playing cards to influence on Russia and on China as well, because North Korea has quite, raw materials, and some Russian corporations, they want to invest in North Korean raw materials and North Korean.
So you think that this kind of policy is more about creating an image of North Korea rather than achieving some big results, for example, this eliminating of sanctions?
There are 2 dimensions. First dimension is to make a kind of political net of communication with China and Russia. And the second dimension is to build a kind of system of economic relations that North Korea is really strongly needs investments, but the investments from Russia and from China, they are not politically risky like the investments from South Korea.
Mm-hmm. But why, after 6 years of him and being in power, why do we have this change from a recluse dictator to the one who is actually taking part in the dialogue?
Kim Jong-un, I would stress on the gesturing. We see a lot of camaraderie, exchanging by swords, Exchanging by swords, it's like a hint or like a stress to abroad that we have communication on nuke, on economics as well, but we are ready to act both. So I think it's a kind of symbol, a kind of hint on abroad that North Korea and Russia are ready to act. We cannot say how, but we can conclude that they will act both.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of this visit of Kim Jong-un to Russia, to Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un told upon his arrival, "I came to Russia with the warm feeling of our people. I hope that this visit will be successful and useful, and that during the negotiations with President Putin, I will be able to specifically discuss issues of resolving the situation on the Korean Peninsula and developing our bilateral relations." So what does Mr. Kim want by resolving the situation on the Korean Peninsula? Is this only about the nuclear power facilities?
As I said before, that's like the ultimate goal is to rid of U.S. sanctions that are quite painful for North Korea. Mm-hmm. The second, North Korea needs a kind of flow of investments and technologies from
Russia. But why would Kim Jong-un want Vladimir Putin to become a player, one of the players in this game? Would he want to share some kind of tool of power?
An
influence on Mr. Trump?
The international relations, the international dealing, it's like a trade.
Yes.
You sell something and you buy something. So in this case, Kim Jong-un wants to sell to Putin his anti-West stance and want to buy from Putin kind of political and economic support. The North Korean regime will survive despite of sanctions or despite of economic system, kind of that.
What is your general assessment of this meeting between the two leaders?
No one agreement was signed. It was like general communication on general terms. We still don't know the full list of the topics they talked about, and we only can see, are able to observe gesturing of amity. We only can conclude or can get an impression of that North Korea and Russia will act commonly on common ground, dealing with United States and even dealing with South Korea. Mm-hmm. Russia is natural, like China is natural allies for North Korea, and Russia is like a window for North Korea to deal with the West, and China it's kind of like a window for North Korea for economic surviving.
Mm-hmm. So Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that North Korean leader would require security guarantees in order to abandon this nuclear program. Do you believe that North Korea can actually trust Russia in providing these security guarantees?
What do we mean by security guarantees? Nobody wants to interfere or intervene in North Korean land.
Yes, but he needs some guarantees. Probably he's worried about the sovereignty and territorial integrity of his country. This is his narrative.
Yeah. Russia and...
Can Russia be the one that can provide these security guarantees, or maybe the U.S. is a more serious partner? Reliable.
Yeah. Reliable, yeah. Russia has also quite a narrow room for maneuver, because Russia committed the upholdings of U.S. sanctions as well. We should remember such a fact. And Russia, from one side, it tries to have a normal and to keep a dialogue with the United States. Another side, Russia support North Korea economically. Russia is a member of United Nations food supplying program for North Korea, but Russia, as I know, for these 2 years didn't sell any kind of weapon to North Korea. It's a very topical issue, and
this can be a sign, yes?
Should be.
Or a hint. Well, also I would like to ask you, how can this meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin influence potential future talks with Mr. Trump? Because yes, we remember this meeting in Hanoi when Mr. Kim refused from the big deal that was proposed by Mr. Trump, and basically these negotiations ended up in a deadlock. So how do you see this situation unfold after this meeting in Vladivostok? Even we don't know the topics they discussed, but still, this can be kind of a provocation for Mr. Trump to react onto this kind of act.
I believe that North Korea gained some results from this meeting, demonstrating that this country, Kim Jong-un, has kind of foreign support, and
But did Mr. Putin declare his support? He did deliver the statement that Russia would be ready to provide the security guarantees, right?
You know, in diplomacy, the diplomats, they are talking using hidden words. So,
of course, there are side talks, and they matter usually more than.
And I
the official ones.
Remind of exchanging by the swords, and it was demonstrated widely.
So still, this is a sign of Russia's support to North Korea, and this should signal something to Mr. Trump.
We don't know the way of support, but kind of support, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this conclusion. Thank you for being a guest today in our studio. That was Makar Taran, head of the Ukrainian Association for American Studies. Thank you for watching Head to Head, and stay tuned for more with UATV.